Do you want to know something you might not like to admit? The rejection you try so hard to avoid isn't actually your enemy. It's one of your greatest allies. Believe it or not, I'm not here to offer you empty comfort. Yes, rejection stings. It can burn and tear at you, but it also has the power to awaken something inside you. Have you ever wondered why rejection really hurts so much? Think about the last time you faced rejection. Maybe it was at your job, when a project you poured your heart into was turned down. Or perhaps it was someone you felt a special connection with who didn't feel the same way about you. That sting, that raw nerve that seemed to throb in your chest. What if I told you that very pain is a glimpse into a deeper part of yourself, a part you've kept hidden? Imagine you've just pitched an innovative idea at work, a project you've nurtured from mere thoughts to a detailed plan. You're met with a flat no. As you stand there, feeling the floor metaphorically fall away beneath you, it isn't just the rejection of the idea that stings. It's a reflection, a mirror held up to your deepest insecurities. Perhaps it's the fear of not being good enough, or the worry that your vision doesn't align with others' expectations. This is where the pain of rejection becomes a beacon, signaling unresolved conflicts within your own self-perception. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, teaches us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic himself, might have suggested that our reaction to rejection is entirely within our control. The external no is beyond your grasp, but your internal response, that's your domain. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This perspective encourages us to look inward when faced with rejection. What personal narratives are you clinging to that might not be serving you well? The reason rejection often hurts so much is not just because it thwarts our immediate desires, but because it triggers a complex cascade of self-doubt and introspection. It forces us to confront the parts of ourselves we're most sensitive about, and often work hard to shield from criticism. This introspective journey can be unsettling, revealing truths about our desires and fears that we might not have been ready to face. When we face rejection, it's an opportunity not just to reconsider our external strategies, but to engage deeply with our innermost values and beliefs. It's a chance to ask ourselves tough questions. Why does this rejection bother me so much? What am I afraid of losing? What does this say about what I value? Through this lens, each rejection becomes a stepping stone on the path to greater self-awareness and authenticity. It's not just about bouncing back, but about bouncing forward, transforming what feels like a setback into a setup for a more aligned and purposeful action. The true challenge rejection poses is not to your abilities or worth, but to your perception of control and attachment to outcomes. You learn to hold your ambitions lightly, ready to adapt and adjust, recognizing that sometimes the most significant growth comes from the most challenging experiences. Reflecting further on the pain of rejection, we realize that it acts as a mirror, revealing parts of ourselves we might not have consciously addressed. This mirror does more than show us our flaws. It highlights our vulnerabilities and the hidden strengths we haven't yet acknowledged. But why does this reflection often hit so hard, and what can we glean from it? When faced with rejection, it's as if someone has taken a highlighter to the aspects of our personality or skills that we are most insecure about, or perhaps most in denial of. For example, consider a young entrepreneur whose innovative startup idea is rejected by several investors. Each rejection could be seen simply as a business setback. However, if looked at more introspectively, these rejections might be highlighting a deeper issue, perhaps a lack of clarity in communication about the business model, or an underlying fear of not being seen as a legitimate contender in the business world. This moment of realization is what Stoicism prepares us for, facing the truths about ourselves that we shy away from. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once advised, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. In this context, it's not just the rejection that causes suffering, but also our interpretation of what that rejection says about us. Is it a definitive judgment, or is it a subjective perspective based on limited information? The Stoic approach encourages us to dissect our emotional responses, asking us to consider what is within our control and what isn't. Our self-perception can be managed. The opinions of others, however, cannot. This realization can be liberating. If the entrepreneur understands that the rejection could be a reflection of the investor's risk appetite rather than a direct criticism of their idea, they can reframe their approach to future pitches, focusing on how to communicate the value and potential of their idea more effectively. This reflection prompts us to engage with parts of our identity that we have perhaps neglected. Each no becomes a question. What part of me feels threatened by this rejection? What does this reaction tell me about my values and my sense of self? This form of questioning leads to a deeper understanding of our inner landscape, our fears, hopes, and dreams. It encourages a kind of introspection that is not about self-criticism, but about self-discovery. Imagine another scenario. A writer receives a rejection for their novel. Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, they use it as a mirror to reflect on their narrative style. Perhaps this reflection reveals a tendency to shy away from fully developing their characters' emotional arcs, a style shaped by their own discomfort with vulnerability. This insight could transform their approach to writing, encouraging them to explore more deeply the emotional depths of their characters, thereby enriching their storytelling. As we delve into the reflections revealed by the mirror of rejection, it becomes evident that these moments are far more than stumbling blocks. They are pivotal stepping stones. This exploration not only helps in recognizing and integrating fragmented parts of our identity, but also champions our growth and transformation, leading us towards a more holistic sense of self. The opportunities for growth that rejection provides are profound and essential for our personal development. Let's consider the story of a young graphic designer who submits a series of innovative designs for a major ad campaign, only to be turned down. Initially, the rejection might sting, appearing as a setback in her career. However, on a deeper level, this rejection presents a unique opportunity. It compels her to reevaluate her work from a new perspective, to refine her artistic expression, and perhaps to explore new creative partnerships or platforms that align more closely with her avant-garde style. This scenario isn't just about a lost job opportunity, it's about the designer discovering her niche and potentially excelling in a space that truly values her unique vision. In Stoic philosophy, there is a powerful emphasis on perception and interpretation. Epictetus taught that it's not events themselves that disturb people, but the views they take of them. When faced with rejection, if one views it as a catastrophic loss, the emotional impact is significantly negative. However, if one sees it as an opportunity to learn and adapt, the experience becomes a constructive force. This reframing is crucial. It transforms the narrative from one of victimhood to one of agency and choice. Rejection often pushes us toward self-sufficiency and resilience. Consider an aspiring author who faces rejection after rejection from traditional publishers. Each no could chip away at his confidence, or it could build his resolve and lead him to self-publish. Perhaps in doing so, he connects directly with his audience, gaining feedback that enriches his writing and builds a loyal readership that a publisher could never have guaranteed. Through these experiences, rejection teaches us that our journey is uniquely ours, not to be dictated by the gatekeepers who, for all their influence, cannot see the world through our eyes. Marcus Aurelius suggested that the obstacle in the path becomes the path. Therefore, every rejection is redirecting you, not restricting you. It nudges you to question, to pivot, to evolve. It asks you not to see doors closing, but to find windows opening to new opportunities that might have remained unseen, if not for the initial setbacks. The opportunity in rejection extends beyond mere professional or creative endeavors. It reaches into the very essence of our personal development. Each rejection can make you more in tune with your values, more aware of your strengths, and more accepting of your limitations. It forces a kind of introspection and adaptation that is fundamental to growth. Shifting our perspective to see rejection as an opportunity naturally leads us to the next significant phase, building strength from rejection. This concept, deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, isn't just about bouncing back. It's about building a new foundation that's even stronger because of the challenges faced. Consider the case of a small business owner whose initial product line failed to attract attention in the market. This rejection from consumers could be devastating, but it also provides a crucial learning opportunity. Rather than giving up, the owner analyzes customer feedback, adjusts the product design, and improves marketing strategies. The next launch is more successful because of the resilience built through this process. Here, rejection acts not merely as a setback, but as a powerful informant that guides significant improvements. The Stoics believed that true wisdom and fortitude come from facing and overcoming difficulties. Seneca emphasized that hardships teach us resilience. Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. In modern terms, when you face rejection and choose to learn from it, you're essentially putting your resilience through a stress test, identifying weaknesses not to criticize yourself, but to fortify these areas. Building strength from rejection involves changing our internal narratives about failure and success. It's about recognizing that these are not polar opposites, but points on a continuum of personal growth. Every rejection provides a moment to pause, reflect, and ask, "What is this experience teaching me?" This reflective practice turns painful experiences into lessons that contribute to a stronger, more resilient character. This process of turning rejection into strength also involves embracing a broader perspective on our capabilities and limitations. It requires honesty about where we currently stand and where we need to improve. Stoic practices like daily self-reflection, journaling about our reactions to rejection, and discussing our challenges with mentors or peers can be invaluable. These practices help to solidify the lessons learned from each rejection, integrating them into our approach to future challenges. As we build strength from our rejections, we also cultivate a kind of emotional intelligence that is invaluable both personally and professionally. This emotional intelligence enables us to handle future rejections with grace and to support others going through similar experiences. The resilience we develop isn't just for our benefit. It can inspire and uplift those around us, creating a ripple effect of strength and positivity. The process of embracing our shadow, rooted deeply in both Jungian psychology and Stoic philosophy, calls for us to confront and integrate the aspects of ourselves that we typically shun or hide away. Imagine a seasoned executive who, despite achieving considerable success, struggles with delegating tasks and trusting her team's capabilities. Her inability to delegate could stem from a deeper, unacknowledged fear of becoming dispensable or irrelevant. This fear is part of her shadow, a side of herself that she has not fully accepted or understood. The feedback from her colleagues, though initially perceived as rejection, actually mirrors this hidden fear, offering her a unique chance to confront and integrate this aspect of her psyche. Embracing the shadow is not merely about uncovering and accepting our darker traits, but about recognizing that these rejected qualities can be sources of energy and personal power when acknowledged and properly channeled. Carl Jung believed that failing to integrate our shadow could lead to personal stagnation and psychological imbalance, whereas acknowledging and negotiating with our darker half could enhance our overall psychological integration. To do this, one might employ techniques such as reflective journaling or deep meditation to dialogue with their shadow. For instance, the executive might begin to reflect on instances where her need for control overrides her trust in her team. Through journaling, she might uncover that this need stems from her early career experiences where she felt undervalued and overlooked. Understanding this can transform her approach to leadership, turning her fear into a teaching moment for both herself and her team. Stoicism offers a complementary approach by teaching us to distinguish between what we can change and what we must accept. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This perspective encourages the executive to accept her vulnerabilities as part of her human experience, but also to work passionately towards overcoming these limitations by fostering trust and openness. The process of embracing our shadow can also lead to more authentic relationships. When we accept all parts of ourselves, we become more accepting of others, reducing the likelihood of projecting our negative traits onto them. Consider a scenario where a team leader recognizes his own tendencies towards perfectionism and criticism. By acknowledging these traits, he can better understand his reactions to team members who do not meet his high standards and can adjust his behavior to be more supportive and encouraging. In embracing our shadow, we are not just dealing with rejection or setbacks. We are addressing the foundational aspects of our character that shape our responses to these events. This deep internal work is not only about improving how we react in the moment, but also about fundamentally transforming our approach to life's challenges. It allows us to move forward with a greater sense of wholeness and self-awareness, making us more resilient and adaptive in the face of future adversities. Having delved into embracing our shadow, the next transformative step in our journey through rejection is understanding the process of individuation. This concept, introduced by Carl Jung, describes the process of becoming aware of oneself, integrating the unconscious with the conscious, and achieving a whole, unique identity. It's about moving from fragmented pieces of self-awareness to a cohesive sense of self. This process is critical not just for personal development, but also for how we manage and perceive rejection. Imagine a creative artist who struggles with accepting their unique style because it doesn't align with mainstream trends. Their journey of individuation might involve recognizing the value in their distinctive approach and integrating this acceptance into their self-identity. This internal development allows them to handle rejection from mainstream galleries not as a denial of their artistic worth, but as a misalignment of styles, which redirects them towards platforms where their artistry is celebrated. Individuation requires an honest encounter with one's inner world, accompanied by the willingness to reconcile and synthesize conflicting parts. It involves facing the aspects of oneself that are often kept in shadow: our fears, suppressed desires, and unrecognized potentials. For instance, a business leader might discover through self-reflection, prompted by professional setbacks, that her leadership style, while effective in achieving results, may lack empathy and thus alienate her team. The realization and integration of this aspect of her personality could transform her approach, leading to a more inclusive and effective leadership style. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of self-examination and alignment with one's core principles. He advocated for a life lived in accordance with nature, understanding one's roles and duties and fulfilling them with justice and commitment. This Stoic practice complements the Jungian journey of individuation, where understanding and integrating one's psychological makeup is crucial for personal growth and fulfillment. The process of individuation isn't just a solitary journey. It involves how we relate to others and the world around us. For example, a teacher might find through dealing with challenging students and the educational system's constraints that her true passion isn't just in teaching, but in educational reform. This realization could lead her to integrate her skills and passions in a way that influences both her professional trajectory and her personal identity development. As we continue to expand our understanding through individuation, we can transform each experience of rejection into a building block for this larger structure of self. It's about piecing together the complex puzzle of who we are, using every no as a clue to our true nature and purpose. This doesn't just minimize the sting of rejection, it uses it as a catalyst for profound self-realization and actualization. As we near the conclusion of our exploration into transforming rejection into a force for personal empowerment, it's essential to reflect on the journey we've undertaken. From understanding the sting of rejection, embracing our shadow selves, to undergoing the process of individuation, each step has built upon the last, guiding us toward a more profound understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Remember that the ultimate goal of facing rejection isn't just to survive it, but to thrive from the experience. The resilience and wisdom gained through these trials equip us to face future challenges with greater confidence and adaptability. It's about transforming our narrative from one of victimhood to one of victory over the circumstances that once seemed insurmountable. This journey is not just about personal gain. The strength and understanding we develop have ripple effects. By embodying resilience and openness to growth, we inspire those around us, our teams, families, and communities. Our ability to transform rejection into a positive force becomes a testament to our character and a beacon for others who might be struggling with similar challenges. Let this exploration of rejection and growth remind you that your potential is not defined by the times you've been turned down, but by how you rise each time you fall. Embrace each rejection as an invitation to grow, to refine, and to ultimately redefine what success means to you. Let your journey be marked not by the fears you've faced, but by the courage you've mustered to overcome them. Thank you for joining us today at Stoic Journal. If you've made it through to the end, a simple free favor you can do is to hit that subscribe button so we can continue to bring more content to you. See you soon.